All right, let's dive into this. Mark Manson's The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Feck.
Okay.
You know, I know the title's kind of out there.
Right.
But there's a lot of good stuff in here.
Yeah, a lot to unpack.
Yeah, it's packed with insights. And you've sent over some interesting excerpts.
Absolutely.
Let's get into it.
Yeah. You know what really struck me about Manson's whole approach is that he doesn't shy away from, like, the difficult parts of life.
The hard stuff.
Yeah, he actually argues that, like, embracing those, you know, negative experiences, the struggles, the pain.
The messy stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's what leads to a more fulfilling existence.
Right. And he kicks it off
Yeah.
with this wild story about Charles Bukowski.
Oh, yeah.
This writer, known for his unconventional lifestyle.
Unconventional is putting it lightly.
Putting it lightly, right? He was an alcoholic, a womanizer.
Yeah.
But he owned his flaws.
Completely.
And wrote about them.
Yeah.
Brutally honestly.
Yeah.
And that's what made him successful.
Bukowski's story is such a good example of that. Like that whole idea that we should be striving for perfection, you know?
Yeah.
He uses him as an example of how, like, authenticity,
Yeah.
even with all its rough edges,
Yeah.
it can be so much more powerful.
So powerful.
Than trying to chase this idealized version of ourselves.
Okay, so then he introduces this concept called the feedback loop from hell.
Oh, this is a good one.
Right.
Yeah.
It's basically this vicious cycle where we end up feeling bad about feeling bad.
Totally.
You know?
Yeah.
Anxious about being anxious.
Yeah.
Angry about being angry.
Yeah, it's exhausting.
It's exhausting.
And it's like breaking free from that loop is so crucial.
Right.
You know, Manson suggests that instead of trying to suppress those negative emotions, we should just acknowledge them.
Sit with them.
Yeah, without judgment.
Yeah.
It's like, you know, hey, anxiety, I see you there.
Yeah.
You're not going to control me.
So it's not about pretending everything is sunshine and rainbows.
No.
It's about accepting that those negative feelings are part of life.
Part of the deal.
And that's okay.
And that's okay.
Right.
This acceptance is what Manson calls, like,
right.
not giving a feck.
Yeah.
And it can be a powerful tool for short-circuiting that negative feedback loop.
Okay, so how do we actually do that?
Right.
It's easy to say, don't give a feck.
Yeah.
But when you're in the middle of a panic attack, it's a bit harder to put into practice.
Well, there are techniques like mindfulness meditation or journaling that can really help.
Yeah.
Mindfulness is all about, you know, becoming aware of your thoughts and feelings without judging them.
Right.
It's kind of like, you know, observing them from a distance.
Okay.
Journaling can be a great way to process those emotions.
Process them. Yeah.
And get a better understanding of them.
So it's about developing a toolbox of strategies to manage those tough emotions.
Yeah.
Because let's face it, life throws curveballs.
Oh, yeah.
And we need to be equipped to handle them.
Absolutely. And this brings us to another kind of mind-blowing concept from the book, Backwards Law.
The Backwards Law. This one really threw me for a loop.
It's a trip.
It's the idea that the more we chase after happiness, the further away it seems to get.
Right. It's like that old saying, the more you chase something, the faster it runs away.
Exactly.
Manson uses this example of someone who's, like, obsessed with wealth.
Right.
And the more they focus on becoming rich, the poorer they actually feel.
Right.
No matter how much money they have.
It's like that constant feeling of not being enough.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Never having enough.
Never enough.
You know?
This reminds me of when I was obsessed with getting a promotion at work. I was so fixated on the title and the salary increase that I completely lost sight of why I actually enjoyed my job.
Right.
The irony is, once I let go of the desperate need for validation, my work actually improved. And the promotion came naturally.
That's a perfect example of the backwards law in action.
Yeah.
Manson argues that true satisfaction comes from confronting and overcoming challenges.
Not from achieving some arbitrary marker of success.
Right. It's in the struggle, the process of overcoming those obstacles that we find, like, real meaning and fulfillment.
So instead of chasing after those external rewards, it's about focusing on the journey, on the personal growth that happens along the way.
Absolutely. Now, are you ready to meet Disappointment Panda?
Oh, yes. Bring on the panda.
This is one of my favorite parts.
I know, right?
Of the book.
It's so good.
Yeah.
So picture this. Okay.
A grumpy panda wearing an eye mask
and
a too small T-shirt delivering some harsh truths about life.
Yeah.
That's disappointment panda.
He's like the ultimate reality check.
Right.
Reminding us that pain and discomfort are inevitable.
Yeah.
It's not all sunshine and rainbows.
Manson uses this like humorous character to illustrate that we shouldn't blindly follow our feelings.
Right.
Just because something feels good in the moment doesn't mean it's actually good for us.
Right.
And conversely, something that feels uncomfortable or painful can actually lead to growth and positive change.
It's like training for a marathon.
Exactly.
It's grueling.
Yeah.
It's painful. There are moments when you want to quit.
Yeah.
But you push through those moments of discomfort.
Yeah.
Because you know that the feeling of accomplishment,
right,
the sense of achievement will be that much greater.
So much greater.
Because you embrace the struggle.
As Disappointment Panda would say.
Yes.
Stop whining and get to work.
All right. All right. Disappointment Panda.
Yeah.
We hear you.
He's got a point.
Yeah.
So we've got Bukowski showing us the power of authenticity, the feedback loop from hell, reminding us to accept negative emotions, and the backwards law, challenging our pursuit of happiness.
Okay, where do we go from here?
How about we tackle a concept that might make some people a little uncomfortable?
All right, I'm ready.
Okay, you ready for this? The idea that we're all wrong about pretty much everything.
Wait, what?
Yeah.
Are you saying everything I believe is wrong?
Not necessarily everything.
Okay.
But Manson argues that our beliefs are often based on flawed assumptions, incomplete information.
Right.
And, you know, those pesky biases we all have.
Okay, I can see that.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember when I was a kid, I was convinced that chocolate milk came from brown cows.
See?
Yeah.
We all have those moments.
We do.
Manson uses historical examples, too. Like how early cartographers were convinced that California was an island.
Right.
It's a great example of how even like seemingly intelligent people can hold on to beliefs that are totally out of sync with reality.
So if we're all wrong about so much, how do we even navigate the world? It's like we're constantly walking around in a fog of misinformation.
Well, that's where the not giving effect part comes in.
All right.
Manson argues that instead of striving for absolute certainty, which is basically an illusion, we should embrace doubt.
Yeah.
So instead of clinging to our beliefs with a death grip, we should be open to the possibility that we might be wrong.
Exactly.
Okay, I like that.
Takes the pressure off.
Right?
Having to be right.
Yeah.
All the time.
All the time.
But how does this tie into the whole not giving effect philosophy?
Well, if we accept that we're all wrong about a lot of things, it kind of frees us from the need to defend our beliefs to the death.
Yeah.
We can be more open to new information.
Okay.
More willing to change our minds.
Right.
And less attached to being right all the time.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
So it's not about being indifferent.
No.
It's about being open-minded.
Yes.
And willing to learn.
Exactly. And that brings us to the power of saying no.
Oh, okay.
Now, this might seem like a simple concept, but it can be incredibly liberating.
Right.
And speaking of liberating, have you ever been to Russia?
As a matter of fact.
Oh, really?
I have.
Okay.
I spent a summer there a few years back.
Wow.
And it was a wild experience.
I bet. I've heard it's a place where people are incredibly direct.
Oh, absolutely.
No sugarcoating. No beating around the bush.
At first, it was a bit jarring.
Yeah.
Especially compared to, you know, the more, let's say, diplomatic communication style. I'm used to, if they think something's stupid, they'll tell you straight to your face.
Wow.
No filters.
That's fascinating.
It is.
Because what Manson highlights here is how the ability to say no, to set boundaries, is actually essential for healthy relationships.
And that's what I learned in Russia.
Really?
This directness, this willingness to say no without hesitation actually fostered this sense of trust.
Interesting.
It was like, okay, we're being upfront with each other, no game.
Like they were cutting through the BS.
Exactly.
And getting straight to the heart of the matter.
It was incredibly refreshing.
So Manson would say that healthy love involves two people acknowledging and addressing their own problems with each other's support.
Okay.
In contrast, unhealthy love is based on two people trying to escape their problems through their emotions for each other.
So it's not about trying to fix each other or being emotionally dependent.
No, it's about supporting each other's individual growth
while
being honest and setting healthy boundaries.
Now think about your own relationships.
Yeah.
Are there any where you find yourself constantly trying to please the other person?
Right.
Avoiding conflict at all costs.
At all costs.
Or maybe you feel like you're carrying the weight of their problems on your shoulders.
Those are definitely red flags.
Yeah.
It's like we're so afraid of upsetting the other person that we end up sacrificing our own needs and boundaries.
Right. And Manson would argue that learning to say no to assert your needs and limits is crucial for creating relationships based on mutual respect and authenticity.
Exactly.
So it's not selfish to say no.
Not at all.
Okay.
In fact, it's essential for creating healthy and sustainable relationships.
Healthy relationships, yeah.
And, speaking of facing difficult truths, Manson gets pretty real about death in the book.
This is a heavy one.
Yeah, it is. He opens up about the loss of his friend, Josh, at a young age.
Right.
And how that experience profoundly shaped his perspective on life.
This part really hit me hard.
Yeah.
It's so raw and honest.
Yeah. He doesn't shy away from the pain and grief of losing someone close to him.
And it's through that experience of loss that he starts to really grapple with his own mortality, his own limited time on this planet. It's a wake-up call, reminding him that life is precious and that wasting time on things that don't matter is a disservice to ourselves.
It's like he's saying, hey, you're not guaranteed tomorrow, so stop putting off what truly matters.
Exactly.
And he shares this incredible story about cliff diving in South Africa.
Oh, wow.
The fear, the adrenaline, the ultimate realization that sometimes the things we fear the most can teach us the most valuable lessons.
It's like that saying, everything you want is on the other side of fear.
Exactly. And Manson connects this experience to the work of Ernest Becker, who wrote about the concept of immortality projects.
Okay, tell me more about these immortality projects. What are they exactly?
So Becker argued that we humans are terrified of death.
Okay.
So we create these elaborate projects. Whether it's through religion, art, career achievements, whatever, to try and leave a lasting legacy. It's like we're trying to cheat death.
Interesting.
By creating something that will outlive us.
So it's like building a monument to ourselves.
Exactly.
So that even after we're gone, a part of us still remains.
That part of us remains.
And Manson doesn't necessarily condemn this impulse.
No, not at all.
He acknowledges that it's a natural human desire to want to make our mark on the world.
Absolutely.
But he also challenges us
He does.
to question those projects. To make sure they're truly aligned with our values.
Absolutely. He asks us to consider whether we're clinging to them out of fear and insecurity, or if they're genuinely expressions of who we are and what we want to contribute to the world.
That's a really important distinction.
It is.
It's about making sure our legacy is something we're truly proud of, not just something we're clinging to out of fear.
Out of fear. And it's fascinating how this whole idea of immortality projects plays out in real life. Manson actually brings up this wild story about a Japanese soldier, Hiro Onoda, who fought World War II for almost 30 years after it ended.
Wait, he fought a war?
I know.
That was already over.
Crazy, right?
How is that even possible?
So Onoda was stationed on this remote island in the Philippines. And he completely missed the memo.
Wow.
That Japan had surrendered.
So he was just out there in the jungle, living like a survivalist,
pretty much,
thinking the war was still going on.
Exactly.
Wow.
He was convinced that the leaflets announcing Japan's surrender were enemy propaganda.
Wow.
And he even dismissed letters and photos from his family as fakes.
That's some serious dedication.
I know.
But also kind of sad.
Yeah.
He missed out on 30 years of his life.
I know.
Because he was clinging to a belief. It was no longer true.
It's a powerful example of how our beliefs, even when they're completely out of sync with reality, can shape our actions and our entire perception of the world.
So what finally happened?
Well,
how did he find out the war was over?
It wasn't until 1974 when his former commanding officer personally flew to the island and officially relieved him of duty.
Oh, my gosh.
That Onoda finally surrendered.
Can you imagine dedicating decades of your life to a cause that no longer exists?
Yeah, it really makes you think about those areas in your own life that you might be clinging to beliefs or behaviors that no longer serve you.
That's a good point.
Yeah, it's like a wake-up call to examine our own narratives and ask ourselves, are these beliefs still relevant?
Right.
Are they helping me grow? Or are they holding me back?
So it's about being willing to let go of those outdated narratives, even if they've been a part of our identity for a long time.
For a long time, and it's not always easy, right? Change can be uncomfortable, but it's often necessary for growth.
Right. And speaking of uncomfortable topics.
Oh, here we go.
Manson also dives into this idea of victimhood chic.
Yeah.
Okay, I've heard this term thrown around.
Yeah.
But I'm not sure I fully understand it.
Okay.
What does Manson mean by victimhood chic?
He's talking about this tendency to overemphasize personal suffering.
Right.
Often for attention or sympathy.
Okay.
It's like there's this competition to see who's been through the most.
Yeah.
Who's the biggest victim.
I can see that happening.
Yeah.
It's like social media sometimes. Yeah. Becomes this platform for showcasing our struggles and traumas.
Exactly. And while it's important to acknowledge and address genuine suffering, Manson argues that this constant focus on victimhood can actually be detrimental.
How so?
Well, for one, it can create a culture of blame and resentment. Where people are constantly looking for someone or something to blame for their problems.
Instead of taking responsibility.
Exactly.
For their own actions and choices.
Exactly.
And it can also make it harder to recognize and support those who are truly experiencing hardship and injustice.
It's like the boy who cried wolf. If we're constantly bombarded with claims of victimhood, we become desensitized to genuine suffering.
That's a good point.
And it's important to remember that Manson isn't saying we shouldn't speak out against injustice or advocate for ourselves. He's simply cautioning against falling into the trap of seeing ourselves as perpetual victims, which can prevent us from taking ownership of our lives and making positive changes.
So it's about finding that balance between acknowledging our struggles and taking responsibility for our own lives.
And, ties back to one of Manson's core messages. Taking responsibility for our lives, even when it's uncomfortable, is essential for growth and fulfillment.
It's about recognizing that we have agency, that we have the power to choose how we respond to challenges.
It's not about denying our struggles, but rather recognizing that we have a choice. In how we interpret and respond to them.
And, one of the most practical ways to do this is by choosing our values. Carefully. Okay, so how do we choose our values? Do we just make a list of things that sound good?
Well, it's a bit more nuanced than that. Manson emphasizes that our values should be guiding principles that shape our decisions and actions. They should be based on things that are intrinsically rewarding to us.
So not just things that will make us look good or impress others.
He suggests we ask ourselves, why do I care about this? What does this value bring to my life? If our values are based on external validation, material possessions, or the approval of others, we're likely to end up feeling empty and unfulfilled.
It's like building a house on a foundation of sand.
Exactly.
It might look impressive from the outside, but it's ultimately unstable.
Manson argues that we should choose values that are based on personal growth, genuine connection, and contributing to something larger than ourselves. Values that are solid and enduring.
So it's a process of self-discovery.
It is.
Figuring out what truly matters to us. And building our lives around those values.
I mean,
how do we know if we're actually living in alignment with those values? I mean, it's easy to say we value something, but harder to put it into practice.
That's where metrics come in. Manson suggests we create specific, measurable goals that help us track our progress. For example, If you value creativity, your metric might be the number of hours you spend painting each week. Or if you value meaningful relationships, your metric might be the quality of the conversations you have with loved ones.
So it's about setting tangible goals.
Tangible goals.
That reflect those deeper values.
Exactly. These metrics provide a concrete way to track our progress and make sure we're not just paying lip service to our values, but actually living them out.
And that brings us to what might be the most profound concept in the book. The idea that death, while inevitable, can actually be a source of liberation.
I know it sounds paradoxical, but Manson argues that embracing our own mortality can free us from the shackles of fear and insecurity.
So by acknowledging that our time is limited, we actually gain a sense of freedom.
Exactly. Well, it's like that saying, you don't know what you've got till it's gone. But what if we could cultivate that appreciation for life without having to experience a major loss?
So how do we do that? Do we just sit around and contemplate our impending doom?
Not quite. Manson suggests we regularly contemplate our own death, but not in a morbid or depressing way. It's more about using that awareness of our limited time to clarify what truly matters.
So it's like a reality check.
Exactly.
Reminding us that we don't have forever to waste on things that don't bring us joy or fulfillment.
He even suggests writing our own eulogies.
Really?
Not as like a morbid exercise, but as a way to envision the legacy.
Interesting.
We want to leave behind.
That's a powerful exercise.
It is.
It really forces you to think about what you want to be remembered for. What kind of impact you want to have in the world.
And your immortality project doesn't have to be grand or world-changing. It could be as simple as being a loving parent, a supportive friend, or creating art that brings beauty into the world.
It's about finding what gives your life meaning and purpose. And pursuing it with passion and intention.
And it's important to remember that Manson delivers all of these insights with a healthy dose of humor and straight talk. He's not afraid to get real about the tough stuff.
No, he's not.
But he also offers practical advice and empowering perspectives.
And it's not about being perfect or having all the answers. It's about embracing the messiness of life. And choosing our struggles wisely.
Choosing our struggles wisely.
Because it's often through those challenges that we grow and discover our true potential.
Exactly. And ultimately, it's about accepting that life is a finite journey. Embracing our own mortality. Not in a morbid way, but as a way to appreciate the preciousness of each moment and live more intentionally.
So as we wrap up this deep dive into the subtle art of not giving a feck, I want to encourage you to take a moment and reflect on what we've discussed.
What resonated with you? What challenged your assumptions? And most importantly, how can you apply these ideas to your own life?
Manson's book is full of practical advice and thought-provoking concepts. But it's up to each of us.
It is.
To take those insights and turn them into action.
Turn them into action. It's about examining our values, choosing our struggles wisely, and creating a life that aligns with our deepest desires and aspirations.
It's a journey.
It is.
Not a destination.
Not a destination. And remember, it's okay to not have all the answers. It's okay to make mistakes.
It's okay to be a work in progress.
Absolutely. The important thing is to keep learning, keep growing. Keep striving to live a life. That's true to yourself.
And as always, we like to leave you.
Yes.
With a final thought.
A final thought.
Something to ponder. As you go about your day.
Absolutely.
This one's inspired by the book.
Okay.
But wasn't directly covered in our discussion.
Alrighty.
If you could design your own immortality project.
Immortality project,
What would it be?
What legacy would you want to leave behind?
It's a powerful question.
It is.
What impact do you want to have on the world? What will people remember you for?
And remember, your immortality project doesn't have to be grand or world-changing. It can be something small, something personal, something that brings meaning and purpose to your life.
The key is to choose something that aligns with your values.
Absolutely.
And allows you to contribute to the world in a way that feels authentic and fulfilling.
So take some time to reflect on this question. Let it simmer.
Let it simmer.
In your mind. Who knows?
Who knows?
It might just spark a new passion.
A new passion.
A new direction.
Right.
A renewed sense of purpose in your life.
For more such content, go to our channel, Pages and Perspectives.
Yes.
And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.
Like, share, subscribe.
Thank you for joining us. Ikea for Chalkus.